Hey everyone, I'm William. I'm a stand-up coach in New York City, and this is an ongoing series of some tricks and tips to make your stand-up feel special, to make your stand-up feel different, and to make it not all be the same.
And now I'm talking words into a mic, and now you laugh, and now I say more words into a mic. Hey, this is the setup, this is the punchline.
So, the first trick I will emphasize in this series is a chant. What does that look like? What am I speaking of? How do we use this? Well, in sports they have a chant. Let's go Gators. Once again, for using sports as an example, me big dumb sports. But if you'd like to see what I mean by this example.
And so what a weird thing. No dating, just have babies. You know what that really means. My parents want me to find a stranger and have raw sex with them.
No.
That's what a normal person would say. My parents, their voice is just in my head growing up, like, raw sex, 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 raw sex.
You see how fun of a moment that is? And it's a simple setup. I hear the voices of my parents in my head. And we can even play. My parents want me to have raw sex. To have a kid, you need raw sex. After this set, I'll have raw sex. Raw sex, raw sex, raw sex, raw sex, raw sex, raw sex. All of us together, raw sex. It's feral, it's simple, it's very easy to fuel, and the audience is already making noise. So it's easy to get them to convert that energy into a laugh. Like right now, we're just sort of moving. We're not evolving it further, but it's still a fun moment, even without further evolutions, even with like the level 1 of this chant energy. See, applause break without any of the additional tags. Would have brought the room down, and we had additional time, but easier done after the fact than during. But any bit could have this energy into it. And tonight, as we go through our writing workshops with people later in the stream, I'm going to be leaning on this chant, trying to force things into a chant, just as the trick of the day, because there's so many things stand-up can be. It can be an opera. It can be a chant. It can be a Q&A. It can be a game of Dungeons and Dragons. There's so many different ways that bits can feel, and mostly bits feel like, here is your lesson and here is your answer. Here is your lesson and here is your answer. So this is sort of an ongoing series of mine I want. So when we do the chant, we need to weigh in. We need to give the audience the words in some way, and then we can do some sort of back and forth. Like for here's your lesson. For the example of raw sex, what are we having? Raw sex. Da 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 da. Raw sex. Very easy to keep hitting. Okay. Stop spamming, Raven. Stop spamming. Okay. Oh. Are you saying like how it feels in stream right now? You're making fun of I'm teaching the way I'm saying stand-up shouldn't feel. Raw sex. You're welcome to chant with me at home. Raw sex. Raw sex. Oh, bravo. Bravissimo. Yeah. First of all, let me give some more points. For contributions during all that. And of course, Rafa, I gotcha. Yeah. Here is your lesson. Here is your answer. Here is your lesson. Here is your answer. What do we want? Sex. How do we want it? Raw. Yeah, there's also ways you can also steer the chant later, or reuse it, or find different ways to pay it off. 100%. Okay, but let me make sure I get to Muhammad's question, which is, in that setup of parents wanting me to have raw sex, wouldn't it be hilarious if he had said, maybe that's what really arranged marriage is in the end? Raw sex. Oh, yeah. As far as ideally, yeah. So to Muhammad, your question, he was giving a set that was more emotional and realistically grounded in his parents' expectations of him and him dating, and how they don't really want him dating, but they do want grandkids. And he's like, this makes no sense. That just means you want me to go straight to raw sex. So after we have the fun feral chant, ideally we do lock it back in and go to what it means intellectually in the greater piece of our set to how we're setting up the logic. 100%, Muhammad. If we turn the big feral fun, blah, ipso facto, my client is innocent. Then the audience not only will have just had a fun, yay, but they'll go, oh, there was a reason we did that big fun. And that's how you really use all the pieces together, yeah. We're trying for a baby is a polite way of telling people you're really having raw sex. Exactly. There are lots of ways that we can re-cue into the chant, and once the moment is that big, it stamps it in the audience's subconscious. So it's very easy to reprime that moment because the audience, like we all saw that moment, we all know what we're talking about. It's very simple if you're trying to re-reference it again. The audience like, oh yes, you're talking about the raw sex moment. Instead of, oh, that one time that you said ladybug kind of funny at the top of the set. That was done in passing and never mentioned again. Harder to bring back a moment like that and get the audience to think about it again. So if we're doing the chant, we got we have to weigh in, you have to give the audience the words, and then we can very easily sort of like T-ball up the chant again with regards to what are we having? Raw sex. What feels the best? Raw sex. You got to make sure you trust the stranger if you're having raw sex. It's very easy to hit additional punchlines and find the XYZ, XYZ equals chant again. And then similarly, ideally it's not all logical, we have a physical thing. We can do the same thing like raw sex, because it's very simple, very easy to evolve on a physical level as well. So ideally some sort of physical evolution as well. And as Muhammad was saying, if we can tie it back in to the logic, then chef's kiss at the end. That was going to turn into an orgy with how loud those chants were. Look, if you want to settle the joke at the end, Raphael, with regards to raw sex, the audience is going to want context. They want to understand, why did we just do this thing? How should we feel about this big chant? That's a good way to label what we just did with regards to chant ends. I thought this was going to turn into an orgy with how loud those chants were. Okay, now we're commenting on the chant. The audience knows how to contextualize it, and they know, okay, we're moving kind of past it. So ideally at the end, contextualize it in some way. Well-cooked sex. It is another way, like if we wanted to play this, contextualize it in some way at the end. Personally, I prefer my sex well done. I do think well done is better than well cooked. But I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants. Also, hey, Jel, always a pleasure. Yeah. We got there at the same time, Rafa. Yeah. How did you get here? Raw sex. Your grandma and grandpa. Raw. Yeah. You see how easy it is to cue up that joke? For all of us, it's very easy to do that because the answer is very simple and the audience will understand it very easily. So it's the same punchline. Hey, the average comedian, the joke would look like this. That joke would look like this. I can hear my parents' voices in my head saying, don't date, just have raw sex. Done. See how much more payoff we can get from the same idea by turning it into a chant, by using other stand-up structures? We get a million more payoffs without any more setup. A little bit more setup, and then you gotta cue it in. But the audience is distracted with the dangling keys as they do their chant the whole time. So you're so much more efficient with your comedy by just tilting the angle you push it out a little bit. The structure with which you feed it to the audience. Someone getting laid later might say it during. Went to the museum, saw Rex. Oh yeah, 100%. If we wanted to change it, you can then morph it as far as like once the audience is. You might have to do that outside of the chant to relabel it. As far as I also went to the museum. I saw Rex, etc., etc. But all of those jokes are in play, and because it's such a big moment, the audience will let you recontextualize it multiple times. Every now and then, my church has a potluck, and one time I brought rabbit stew. Everyone got mad. I said I ruined Easter. If we're going to use Gaurav's intro, I could hear their voices in my head saying, you ruined Easter, you ruined Easter, you ruined Easter, you ruined Easter. I murdered a bunny, I ruined Easter. Didn't hide eggs, I ruined Easter. Converted to Judaism, ruined Easter. We got a divorce when I ruined Easter. As far as if we wanted to pitch this as a chant, we very easily could. Let's get to the next joke. We'll see if we can turn it into a chant as well, just because that is the joke structure of the night. In the Old Testament, devotion to God was shown through circumcision. In the New Testament, circumcision is replaced by baptism. So in the Old Testament, devotion meant cutting off part of your manhood. Then God takes human form as a man. Suddenly it's like, all right, new rule. From now on, yeah, you sprinkle some water. Yeah, don't touch my dick. That shit hurts. Great. Okay, great. This is a joke that is in a relatable, emotional. We are a trustworthy narrator the whole time. Now God's like, no circumcision, no circumcision, no circumcision, no circumcision. How do we keep the smegma? No circumcision. I want it to look like a turtleneck. No circumcision. No circumcision. You see how I can play with it both physically and logically if we turned it into a chant? No circumcision. No circumcision. You guys are hypocrites. I've seen yours. I've seen yours. I've seen yours. I've seen yours. Yes, circumcision. And then at the end, we can twist and say the reality of the situation. Raw dicks. Raw dicks. Oh, yeah. And I will say something. The reason we can play with the raw sex joke so fast is because it is just 2 syllables for the raw sex. So now we're like raw dicks, raw eggs. It's very easy to pivot because it's not like, oh, raw sex that my parents told me to have before I finished dating. So to that end, if we want a best practice for our chants, we might want to keep it, give the audience the words. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Kids these days aren't afraid of anything. When I was little, I watched Friday the 13th and pissed the bed for weeks. Pissed the bed. Pissed the bed. Pissed the bed. Scared as a child, we pissed the bed. Drank too much tonight, we'll piss the bed. Meet a freaky partner and we piss the bed. Get stung by a jellyfish and we piss the bed. Piss the bed. Piss the bed. Got my circumcision, then I pissed the bed. As far as see how arbitrarily we can turn this into a fun chant and take a moment here to really, R. Kelly was known for pissing in the bed, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. R. Kelly pissed a bed, not necessarily his bed.
I was trying to make the term bloody balls fun and talk about it in the beginning, like, oh shit, is that what happened? Let me check it out. No, it's not.
If we're doing the joke, then can we turn it into a chant? Bloody balls, bloody balls. Period sex leads to bloody balls. The football accident led bloody balls. My bad circumcision led to bloody balls. Oh, I love eating bloody balls. If we wanted to, we could always do joke of the night and turn it into a chant if you really want it to stick in the audience's head.
He smells butts. So my daughter was like, Papa, di kong e kachonang tahole e otro buwakisang ka? E amita mane, ese panang eta un forma di bisa halo, combine, bonds. Met elkaar toen Miyumue, dat mane, that's a bunch of bullshit. Dus op een gegeven moment zijn we weer thuis. E sua mama a bem busque. Dus op een gegeven moment, mama dice, hey Dushi, bindu na mama umbrasa. Ela dice, no, mi que hole buburaki sanka.
You know what dogs do? Smell those butts. Smell those butts. Smell those butts. Smell those butts. The dog just pooped, they smell those butts. I'm in the bathroom, they smell those butts. And then my daughter learned how to smell those. Yeah, my daughter picked it up. If we were going to do the same emotional thing of, oh, daughter, not supposed to, we could use the chant as a technique here. Not that we have to, not that it's optimal, but since the note of the day is how we could turn anything into a chant or use that in any sort of stand-up, the option's viable. So if you're still watching this video, hey, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Join us on stream with our wonderful community, and more videos will be popping up if you want to try out more stand-up tactics. There'll be more examples. Now I'm going to work with stream in just a second, but for the YouTube people, they've already seen it because I've edited it.